Caitlin Clark's 270-yard drive at the RSM Classic didn't just impress PGA fans. It lit up the golf world. Jay Monahan, PGA commissioner, called her transcendent. Crowds chanted her name. Her performance wasn't just athletic, it was magnetic. But while golf fans embrace her with open arms, the league she represents, the WNBA, stayed quiet. That silence was deafening. For a Rookie of the Year, for a league ambassador, for a cultural icon in the making, there were no tweets, no press releases, not even a passing congrats. That disparity said more than words could. It raised an uncomfortable but unavoidable.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
Truth. Clark's success outside the court seems more welcome to strangers than to some of her own teammates and league executives. The contrast in reception underscored how fractured the WNBA's approach is to stars who break molds. When an athlete's moment is only celebrated outside her own sport, it points to a league still unsure how to handle crossover success, and one at risk of squandering it. Caitlin Clark just crushed 270-yard drives at a PGA tournament, got a standing ovation from the golf world, and became a fan favorite in a sport she doesn't even play professionally. And what did her own league say? Absolutely nothing. While the golf world was rolling out the red carpet, praising her talent, charisma, and humility, the WNBA gave Caitlin Clark the silent treatment. Actually, worse than silence, there was subtle shade. A warning, reportedly from the WNBA commissioner, and players throwing out passive digs. Now fans are pissed, and honestly, they have every right to be. Because this wasn't just about a rookie trying something new on her day off. Caitlin Clark walked into the RSM Classic and owned it. She didn't just show up, smile, and wave. She hit pro-level drives and drew huge crowds that cheered her name like she was a headliner. Golfers, fans, even PGA Commissioner Jay Monahan called her transcendent. That kind of reaction isn't handed out freely. You earn that. But the WNBA? Crickets. No congratulatory post. No press quote. Not even a token, "We're proud of you." Instead, reports began to swirl that the league wasn't happy. And then came the warning. The message was clear. Stay in your lane. Let that sink in. Caitlin Clark, the 2024 WNBA Rookie of the Year, a literal ratings magnet, shows up at a professional golf event, connects with an entirely new fan base, brings attention to women's sports on a massive scale, and gets warned for it. That warning, subtle as it may have been, spoke volumes. And fans heard it loud and clear. Now, to be fair, Caitlin didn't publicly call out anyone. She kept it classy. She spoke about how much fun she had, how golf was something she's always loved, and how grateful she was to be part of it. She wasn't trying to steal anyone's spotlight. She wasn't angling for fame. She was just doing what athletes should be allowed to do: explore, grow, and connect. But the response she got from her own league made one thing painfully obvious. There's a tension inside the WNBA, and it's getting harder to ignore. Some WNBA players allegedly weren't thrilled. Comments started surfacing. Indirect, dismissive, the usual coded language. Stuff like "focus on the team" or "remember where you came from." One even criticized her golf appearance as being too much. Because apparently, showcasing versatility and attracting fans is now controversial, this kind of reaction exposes a deeper issue, and fans are starting to talk about it, loudly. The golf community didn't hesitate. They loved her. She was praised, celebrated, and even described as a game changer by commentators and fans alike. There were chants. People drove out just to watch her swing. She made it fun. She made it feel important. And she did it without trying to overshadow anyone. She was just being herself. Meanwhile, the WNBA, an organization that desperately needs star power, ratings boosts, and new eyeballs, seemed offended that one of their most popular players was getting attention somewhere else. Instead of celebrating her crossover appeal, they looked threatened by it. And this isn't new. The league has struggled with internal unity, branding, and marketing forever. But what's different now is that it's starting to impact the very players who could save it. Let's be real. Caitlin Clark is a marketing dream. She's the kind of player who draws crowds, inspires kids, gets brands interested, and brings in fans who maybe never watched women's basketball before. You'd think the WNBA would see that and lean all the way in, but the muted response to her golf success sent the opposite message. We'll support you, as long as you don't shine too brightly outside our bubble. It's a bad look, and fans saw right through it. This isn't just about Caitlin. It's about what kind of league the WNBA wants to be. Does it want to support multi-talented athletes who are building bridges between sports and bringing in new audiences? Or does it want to gatekeep players into staying strictly within the confines of basketball? Because let's not forget, this wasn't some reality show or side hustle. This was golf. Professional, respected, mainstream golf. Caitlin showed up, put in the work, stayed humble, and still got flack. All because her success didn't fit within the WNBA's narrative. And that's the part that stings. While PGA officials were celebrating her as a cultural crossover and fans were praising her grace under pressure, her own league was basically side-eyeing her from the sidelines. It made it painfully obvious how far behind the WNBA still is when it comes to embracing its stars and supporting them as full people, not just basketball players. The truth is, Caitlin Clark did everything right. She didn't demand attention. She earned it. She didn't stir up drama. She kept it positive. And yet, the backlash within her own sphere revealed a league still struggling to support the very excellence it claims to want. And through it all, Caitlin never cracked. She stayed focused, gracious, and grounded. She talked about how much she enjoyed the game. She reminded everyone that she's not chasing clout. She's chasing joy. And that's powerful, because while others were talking behind her back, she was out there gaining new fans, making sports feel fun again, and proving that athletes can be multidimensional. That's not a problem. That's a model. And yet, she had to navigate all of this with barely any public support from the league she represents. No Instagram post. No, congrats, Caitlin. No, we're proud to see our players breaking barriers. Just silence and a warning. A warning for what? Being too inspiring? It's wild, but also deeply revealing, because it shows just how uncomfortable some institutions still are when their stars start stepping outside the mold. And in Caitlin's case, she didn't just step out, she soared. What she did at the RSM Classic wasn't a fluke. It was the beginning of something bigger, a shift, a signal that athletes, especially women, can break traditional molds and still be successful, that you can play for a team and yourself, that you can love your sport and try something new. And fans loved it. They showed up for her. They supported her. They recognized that what she did was special, not because she's famous, but because she did it with humility, skill, and genuine love for the game, which is why this whole saga left such a bitter aftertaste. Because the contrast was so glaring. One sport saw her for what she is, a generational talent with the power to connect across worlds. The other sport saw a threat. And that should worry the WNBA. Because if the league can't figure out how to support and amplify stars like Caitlin Clark, then it risks alienating the very fans it's trying to attract. And more importantly, it risks losing the trust and loyalty of players who are out there doing the work, not just on the court, but everywhere. Caitlin didn't ask for a standing ovation. She earned it. And the WNBA's silence said more than any statement ever could. So now the question becomes, what's next? Will the league learn from this and start supporting its players more holistically? Will it embrace the idea that athletes can and should be multidimensional? Or will it continue down this path of passive-aggressive control, warning its stars to dim their light so others feel more comfortable? Time will tell, but one thing's already clear. Caitlin Clark isn't waiting for approval. She's already carving her own path. And fans, they're coming with her. So if you've been following this drama with your jaw on the floor, drop a comment below. Should the WNBA support Caitlin's crossover success? Or do you think athletes should stick to one lane? Make sure to like this video if you're rooting for athletes who break barriers. And don't forget to subscribe for more pop culture chaos and sports drama that'll leave you speechless. Let's be real for a second. Caitlin Clark didn't just go to a golf tournament and play a few cute holes for Instagram. She lit up the entire event. She was a story, the energy, and the crowd favorite. And she did it without a PR machine pushing her. No handlers hyping her. No campaign. Just Caitlin, a basketball phenom, casually stepping onto a golf course and swinging like she belonged on the LPGA Tour. So why did that threaten anyone? Here's where things start to crack. See, the WNBA has long struggled with visibility. It fights harder than most leagues for airtime, sponsors, and fan loyalty. And in Caitlin, they got a gold mine. A breakout rookie who brings in ratings, fills arenas, and gets mainstream coverage from sports networks that usually don't touch women's basketball. You'd think they'd be throwing confetti at her feet. But instead, when she dares to show that her talents go beyond the hardwood, silence, then a warning. If this league can't figure out how to embrace its stars when they shine, not just when they stay in line, how can it expect to grow? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Caitlin Clark represents change, and change is messy. She's young, she's marketable, and she draws attention naturally. That shakes up a status quo where some veteran players have spent years fighting for a sliver of the spotlight. Caitlin walks in and boom, sold-out games, cameras flashing, interviews left and right. That kind of sudden shift creates friction. Some players feel overlooked. Some worry she's being given too much too fast. And the league? It's caught in the middle, unsure how to handle a star whose appeal stretches beyond their own walls. But this moment isn't just about a league's insecurities. It's about how we define success. Because Caitlin didn't break any rules. She didn't bash the league, ditch games, or ask for special treatment. She took her skills to a different stage and thrived. That should have been a slam dunk for everyone. Yet somehow it became controversial. Why? Because it exposed a larger issue. The WNBA isn't built to handle cross-sport stars. The system's not ready for athletes who live in multiple arenas, who command attention from overlapping fan bases, who don't ask permission before showing up and excelling. And Caitlin's not even asking for praise, just room to be. She's showing fans, especially young girls, that it's okay to love more than one sport, that you don't have to stay in your assigned lane. That passion doesn't have borders. In a world constantly trying to put people in boxes, Caitlin's entire presence screams, "Nah, I'll build my own lane." And that's exactly what she's doing. So when she walks off the golf course with a smile, knowing she just connected with a whole new group of fans, only gets side-eyed by her own league, it's not just frustrating, it's heartbreaking, because she represents everything the WNBA claims to stand for: hard work, humility, and trailblazing energy. But it's not just the WNBA who's watching. Brands are watching. Media execs are watching. Fans, especially the ones who are new to women's sports, are definitely watching. And what they saw in this situation was a league that, instead of lifting up its breakout star, treated her like a problem. That's a PR disaster waiting to happen. Meanwhile, the PGA saw an opportunity and took it. They embraced Caitlin like she was one of their own. They praised her poise, her athleticism, her vibe. They understood that having someone like her on their turf, even briefly, was good business. They weren't territorial. They were smart, and they reaped the benefits. Now compare that to the WNBA strategy. Downplay, dismiss, deflect. That's not leadership. That's fear. It raises a bigger question. How many times will women athletes have to prove themselves outside their league to be respected inside of it? Because here's the wild twist. The backlash only made Caitlin more powerful. Fans rallied. Golf fans. Basketball fans. Parents of young girls who suddenly saw an athlete doing it all without apology. The support didn't shrink. It exploded. And it came with criticism of the WNBA itself. Comment sections filled up with fans asking why the league was so quiet, why teammates were being salty, why someone with Caitlin's impact wasn't being celebrated more openly. The league's silence became the story. Caitlin didn't have to say a word. The contrast said it all. And through it all, she just kept showing up with grace. Smiling, playing, inspiring. Because this is bigger than one tournament or one warning. It's about what women's sports could be if leagues stopped being afraid of star power and started embracing it. There's this unspoken fear in some corners of the WNBA that if one player shines too brightly, It will dim the light for others. But that's not how it works. Caitlyn's success doesn't erase anyone else's. It amplifies it. Her bringing in new fans is a win for the whole league. If the WNBA leaned into her moment, instead of recoiling from it, they'd be riding a wave of momentum right now. More ticket sales, more sponsorships, more coverage. Instead, they gave her a cold shoulder. What message does that send to future athletes? That if you step outside the box, even in a good way, you'll get pulled back in? That exploration and ambition are liabilities? That's not how you grow a league. That's how you stun it. And Caitlyn? She doesn't owe them anything more than she's already given. She brought in fans. She delivered highlight reels. She showed up to every game, played hard, and stayed humble. So if her reward is to be treated like a distraction instead of an asset, don't be surprised as she continues to build a brand that stands outside the league. Not out of bitterness, but because she has to. The world is already embracing her for who she is. The only question left is whether the WNBA is ready to do the same, or if they'll keep getting left behind. And make no mistake, Caitlyn's story isn't slowing down. This is just the beginning. Her crossover appeal is too big to ignore. Whether it's golf, basketball, or any other sport, Caitlyn's going to keep showing up, keep inspiring, and keep challenging the old rules. And the people who get it, they're going to benefit. The people who don't, they'll get left wondering why the fans went elsewhere. So now all eyes are on the league. Will they adjust? Or will they double down on playing small while their brightest star shines without them? Whatever happens next, Caitlyn Clark already proved one thing. She doesn't need permission to be great. She already is. And here's the kicker. This whole thing didn't even have to be a controversy. It could have been a slam dunk for everyone involved. A rising basketball star stepping into golf and bringing thousands of new eyeballs to both sports? That's not a threat. That's a marketing dream. A PR gift wrap with a bow. But instead of celebrating her, the league chose to quietly back away, as if Caitlyn's success somehow put them in a tough spot. Spoiler alert, it didn't. What actually happened is that the WNBA exposed itself. Not Caitlyn. Not the fans. The league. They showed us that even in 2025, they're still unsure how to handle a woman who doesn't fit the standard playbook. One who isn't afraid to branch out. One who, frankly, doesn't wait for permission to succeed. It's not just tone deaf. It's telling. Because Caitlyn Clark didn't cross a line, she redrew the map. She expanded the reach of her sport without compromising it. She took the WNBA logo with her onto the golf course, whether they asked her to or not. And in doing so, she elevated the brand. Their brand. And for that, she gets a warning? You gotta be kidding. Let's talk about what that warning actually means, because it wasn't just about golf. It was about control. It was a message. Stay where we can see you. Don't get too big. Don't outgrow the box we built. Don't forget who signs your checks. But here's the irony. Caitlyn never forgot. She didn't leave the league. She didn't bash anyone. She's still showing up, still performing, still carrying the torch on and off the court. The problem isn't her loyalty. The problem is that the WNBA doesn't know how to reward it when it doesn't look exactly how they expect. What Caitlyn's doing is the future of women's sports. Athletes who are visible, cross-platform, culturally relevant. The kind of stars who aren't just great at their game, but who change the conversation around it. Serena did it. Naomi Osaka did it. Simone Biles did it. And now Caitlyn Clark is doing it. But instead of learning from that model, the league seems stuck in fear. Fear of backlash. Fear of favoritism. Fear of what will the other players think. Let's address that too, because yes, some of the criticism came from within. Some players felt overshadowed. Others felt like Caitlyn was getting too much attention. And those feelings aren't fake, they're valid. The WNBA is full of incredibly talented, hard-working women who've been grinding for years with little recognition. Watching a rookie walk in and dominate headlines hurts, especially when you know the media hasn't given you that same love. But here's where that frustration needs to be pointed upward, not at Caitlyn, but at the system that waited this long to promote anyone at this level. It's not Caitlyn's fault that she's the one finally breaking through. It's the league's job to ensure more players get that platform, not just one. What Caitlyn's rise should do is open doors, build bridges, bring new fans who stay for her teammates, her rivals, the league as a whole. Instead, her success is being treated like a zero-sum game. That mindset will sink everything. And the fans? They're already picking sides. Twitter, Reddit, TikTok. Every platform lit up with the same theme. Why is Caitlyn being punished for winning? She didn't cheat. She didn't disrespect the league. She didn't ditch basketball. She went to a golf event and, in doing so, brought attention to women's sports on a massive level. If that's a problem, then the WNBA has bigger issues than one player's popularity. At this point, it's not just Caitlyn who deserves better. It's the fans who are showing up, buying jerseys, filling stadiums, and wondering why the league isn't matching their energy. Because here's the thing. Fans aren't dumb. They see the shade. They notice when the league promotes some players more than others. They clock the difference in tone, the lack of enthusiasm, the buried tweets. And when those fans do show excitement, like they did when Caitlyn hit the golf course, they expect to be met with support, not silence. That silence spoke volumes. And Caitlyn? She responded without even saying anything. She smiled. She showed up. She kept doing what she does best, thriving, with or without approval. That's what makes this all so frustrating. She's not demanding attention. She's not chasing headlines. She's just being excellent. And the league's response wasn't to lift her higher. It was to quietly tap the brakes. Well, the brakes aren't working, because Caitlyn's momentum is real, and it's only picking up speed. At this point, the WNBA has two options. They can step into the moment, recognize the opportunity, embrace the fact that a crossover star is the exact kind of player who can redefine what's possible in women's sports. Or they can keep resisting, keep sending messages, spoken or unspoken, that say know your place. But if they choose the latter, they should prepare to watch that place become smaller and smaller as fans and talent alike start looking elsewhere. Because Caitlyn Clark will be fine either way. She's already proven that. She's not waiting for a marketing plan. She is the plan. But the league? They can't afford to keep fumbling moments like this. This could have been a win. Instead, it became a warning. So now it's up to them. Are they going to keep seeing stars as threats, or finally start treating them like the gifts they are? If you're still shaking your head at how this played out, hit that like button. Let us know in the comments. Was the WNBA right to stay silent, or did they completely miss the moment? And if you want more drama, deep dives, and the mess that makes pop culture so addictive, subscribe now. You don't want to miss what's coming next.